Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself. I'm Emmanuel Sapolucia. Welcome to Politics 101 on Liberation Rise. This is our first edition and segment for 2023 and our first edition for our Saturday segment. Again, welcome to Politics 101. Join us on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Instagram. We'll just go to our theme song and we'll be right back with you. Thank you.
Oh, hail Liberia, hail. Oh, hail Liberia, hail. This glorious land of liberty shall long be ours. Though new home name, great be her fame, and mighty be her powers. Oh, hail, oh, hail, oh, hail, oh, hail, the Lone Star forever. Oh, hail, Liberia, oh, hail, Liberia, hail. In union strong, success is sure. We cannot fail. We've got up above our rise to prove we will, yeah, prevail. Oh, hail, Liberia, oh, hail. Ooh, yeah. Oh, hail, the Lone Star forever. Hey, in union strong, success assured. We gotta love one another, hold together, 'cause this glorious land shall long be ours. Yeah, we gotta stand together.
Good afternoon in the United States and good evening in the Republic of Liberia. Friends, relatives, and Liberia at large. This is Politics 101 on Liberation Rise. Over a century, Liberia political climate or system was a mono system where we have a one-party system. Over the years, the one-party system ruled our country and everybody felt disenfranchised. In the 1980s, we introduced a multi-political party system, which many politicians embrace. In my opinion, it was not structured well based on community ideology or civil society ideology. However, I think it was based on individual ideology. If we all we can recall, in the 1980s, we had the NDPL, which was for the Dole regime. And after Dole died, that political party went down the drain. We had the Jackson F. Dole political party, it went down the drain. So the Liberal political system, in my view, has always been based on individualistic ideas. I think it's about time that we introduce civil, community, religious, and community-based ideology so that we can have an institution instead of an individual political system. Today in Liberia, our country political space is now for just it's been used to enrich oneself where politicians come to and lie to us and tell us what we want to hear. We give them that power, and when the power is given to them, all to do is enrich themselves. During the campaign or the campaign years, one like 2023, power is going to be in the hands of the electorates. But right after elections, that power will be given to the elect. I mean, the politicians, and the politics will be in the hands of citizens. That's what we see daily in Liberia. We have so many intellectual centers that preach politics, but not using the force, the power, the authority they have to hold those who they put in power accountable. On Liberia Rise, we believe our country will rise again. And if Liberia is to rise, each and every one of us have a part to play. That is why on Liberia Rise and Politics 101, we invite Liberians, far-sighted politicians, elected ones, non-elected, to come and tell us what their visions are, what their goals are. Those who are aspiring for offices, what they want, what they think they can change this country, this beautiful land of Liberia that we once held as a land of liberty. Liberia today, in my view, is still not a land of liberty because not everybody is enjoying that liberty. Today, we have a brother who is aspiring to be one of the candidates in the 2023 election. He is a Liberian, a born Liberian, a citizen of the soil, a son of the soil. He has dedicated his life for the United States, and he's trying to do the same for his native country, Liberia. He's no other than Mr. Majesty Wolokolie. Mr. Wolokolie is aspiring as an independent political candidate for the 2023 election. He has a master's in international relations from Liberia University, a bachelor's in political science from St. Martin University with focus in international diplomacy and conflict resolution. He retired from the United States Army after 20 years. He is a grassroots community organizer. He values teamwork and is a superior leader with extraordinary outcomes in high pressure environment. And I can tell you, as a military personnel, I think he will have that capability. He should have that capability to withstand the pressure that comes from the outside. His interest is in education, good and self-governance, human rights, and equality, all races and gender, to participate in the resources and enrichment that we have in Liberia. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, as we bring on our brother, Mr. Majesty E. Wolokolie. Good evening, Mr. Wolokolie. I know in Liberia is late in the evening. Welcome to on Liberia Rise.
Thank you, Mr. Sakapia. Good afternoon to you. I know you guys just waking up over there. We have saved the day already. Y'all still asleep up in America.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I just read your profile. Is there anything you want to add to what I just said?
No, I mean I think you said it best, and people can go on my website www.magisterwolokolie.com to read more about me and to read more about our platform and our vision for the country. I would say we should go right into our Q&A.
Okay. So before I go into our Q&A, I want to tell our audience that Dr. Positive Steve Keller, the CEO of Liberia Shall Rise, is in the back, and he's going to come on when he's needed. He's the boss. He's the CEO. He organized everything. He's our technical director right now, and he's doing everything in the back. So when you see me smile, you see our brother live on here, that work is being done by no other than Dr. Positive. So Dr. Positive, has up to you as you serve us in the back. So Mr. Wolokolie, today is Saturday, February 11th. I know today is supposed to be a holiday in Liberia, Armed Forces Day.
Yes, Armed Forces Day.
Yes, sir. And before we go into our meat and all the juices thing you're going to give us, first I would like to know, and the Liberian people want to know, who is Majesty Wolokolie?
Well, first let me give a shout out and thank you to our service men and women of Liberia. Today is Armed Forces Day. My hats are out to you, and thank you for your service. Thank you for protecting our country. You could be anywhere, but you chose to be in the Armed Forces of Liberia. I, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate everything that you do for our country. for the guys and the girls that are out on deployment in Mali and other countries. I say, be careful out there. Watch out for your battle buddies, and make sure you come back home safe. To the people of Liberia, my name is Mengistu E. Wolokolie, son of the soil. I am a humble servant, humbly served the United States military for 20 years, 14 days, and 36 hours, and decided to come back to Liberia for service. To the people of Liberia, I did not come to this idea lightly. It was not something that I decided to run for president lightly. This is something that I have had a dream of since I was 9 years old, that I was one day going to run for president of Liberia. Uh, and the reason why I'm running for president of Liberia is for the future generation of Liberia. I decided to run for president December 24th, around that time frame, 1989 was when I decided to run. And I decided to run because I didn't want the future generation of Liberia to go through the struggle and hardship that I went through, what my generation went through. Because I feel our parents' generation failed my generation, that they could not settle their differences applicably or without violence. They felt that violence was the key, was needed to settle differences. And I think that my generation, we have to be the example. We have to set the example. My generation will decide what Liberia will be in the next 10, 15, 20, 30, or 50 years. That's what this election is very important. So hopefully through this media and other media that people will ask more questions, and hopefully I can answer the question to the best of my ability.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So in Liberia and Liberia history, some of us that have followed Liberia politics, independent candidates are sometimes difficult to have a success. And I'm not saying they have not been successful, because I know independent candidates have won senatorial races and representative races in Liberia. And our political climate is, I would say, our democracy, multi-party system is pretty much young, because it started in 84, 85 when they had our first multi-party system election. Now, a few years later, almost 40 years later, we have what we call peaceful transition from Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to George Weah. Now, you as a young individual, aspiring as an independent, my question to you would be, how likely are you to be successful, and what political structure are you putting in place in Liberia to reach that your goal as being the president, the first independent president, independent candidate to win an election in Liberia in the highest office?
Well, since we are on Politics 101, I would like us to correct something about political parties. I know people in our country, yeah, especially our parents' generation. When I'm speaking of parents' generation, I'm talking about the people who all sat around and the coup that took place. And the people don't like to talk about this, but I cannot say we have to stop telling the lies that we have one party system. We just have one party that was good at cheating and good at putting people down. There is nothing that the political party are doing right now in Liberia, 42 years, 42, 43 years since the coup and the murder of President William Howard Tubman, that they did not do before. The LPP party elites selected Councillor Tawon Gonglo. The UP party selected former Vice President Joseph Boyka. The CPP ANC party selected Mr. Edizana Cummings. CDC MPP party elites selected President George Weah. The people of Liberia did not have a primary to select the leaders. That's exactly what the True Win Party did. The party's elite selected somebody and they told the people to vote for them. There is nothing different that the True Win parties did for 70 years before they were forcibly removed, brutally removed from power that right now that our people who say that they want us to so and so stuff is different. If we are already going to talk about democracy, each party should have a primary and let the people from the counties decide, not party elites. It's the same old thing. The only difference now is just more parties doing the same thing. So now let's fast forward to independent candidate. The constitution, how it was written, how NEC do things, they have made it difficult for independent candidate to come into the race. Somebody like me to come into the race to do things. But all I can say is I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep moving forward. If it's not meant for me to be on the ballot, then so be it. But I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to keep hope. My North Star is to get on the ballot. Whether I'm on the ballot or not, the vision that I have for Liberia, the vision that this campaign is for Liberia, does not go away. We still fight for this vision.
So, did he freeze?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. So you just talk about making it to the ballot. So let's say, I mean, because I know if I'm right, I think you have to put 7,000 or more United States dollar to register for, I don't know what it is, the Senate or the presidential candidate, but as an independent candidate.
Yes, right now, and for that, and I said to my supporters, to my well wishers, I'm asking you for donation. Donation is needed to run this campaign. Please go to www.mengistuwolokolie.com and donate, or you can donate on Cash App at WFP 2023 and donate to the campaign. We need money for the campaign to run this campaign, for it to go to where it needs to go, to make the change that we need in this country.
So I admire your exploration as a young man, going back home to challenge the status quo. That's how I would call it. Challenging the status quo is not easy in any nation, including the United States. Liberia is not unique, right? But let's say Mr. Wolokolie Ford didn't make it to the ballot box. I mean, through the NEC protocol, and he said, "Well, I still need my vision, the ideas that I have to explore or to be made known." Is he looking to support any political party? And if so, which one do you think is likely?
No, I would say this. I have had a couple of young individuals who are aspiring for representative that if I don't make it to the ballot, that I'm going to support, put my support behind them to help get them into the House of Representatives. And if there are senators on the ballot who I believe share my vision, I will make sure that I help them, move forward in this campaign. But when it comes to me supporting anybody, I have to see, there's 3 questions a candidate has to answer for me. That's the same 3 questions I'm expecting, and I will answer to the people of Liberia as I go around the country talking to people. The why, the what, and the how. So any candidate I have that if I will endorse anybody, those are the 3 things that you have to answer in order for me to when I sit down with you, for me to endorse you. You got to answer those 3 things. If nobody can answer those 3 things for me, or maybe answer 2 out of 3, then I will not be endorsing anybody. I will go and endorse, like I said, representative that can still help lobby them to pass laws to improve the country.
It's good you brought law. I had a different question in mind, but because you brought law, it brought me back to something that I watched, I think a day or 2 ago, regarding the Senate when they hosted the security system, including the justice minister. And what I witnessed in my view is not what we would expect to come from those offices, right? When it comes to the administration. arm of government, and that has to do with the security forces. Today, in my view, Liberia is vulnerable, right? And we have seen the police take side with one political party over the other, especially the
Mhm.
ruling party. And I witnessed the IG kind of accuse a sitting senator without evidence. He have not provided evidence because this has gone on for more than a year or almost a year since the accusation was leveled against this senator. But accountability is a problem in Liberia, especially from the security from the police, the Liberian National Police. We saw instances where protesters, where people gathered to protest in front of the Liberian, I mean the American embassy, and they were attacked by a counter protester. And those counter protesters were supported by the Liberian National Police. You, as an executive or the president, if you elected, will be the chief for all security forces or enforcing the laws. What magnitude, what mechanism are you going to put into place that will make or will give value or integrity to our security system that is now being called or a party police, party security structure or party police, how do you call this thing? Party
Partisan.
partisan police or partisan military apparatus or whatever you want to call it.
Okay. Thank you for the question. I would say that I'll tell the Liberian people in Liberia and out of Liberia, the buck stops with me. That's one. Three things we need to do in order to fix our security apparatus in Liberia. We need to properly train, equip, and pay our security apparatus. So all those things need to be done in order for us to get to where we need to be as a safe and free country. We cannot have police officer on the standing on the road begging for money or getting bribes, and we think that is okay. One, we have to pass law that will make it that if somebody offer a police officer a bribe, that is a crime. We can get to certain places where we need to make sure that our security apparatus is doing what is in the best interest of the country, passing the laws. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. So it is all about how we can train our police force, how we can equip our police force, and how we can properly pay our police force. I have a thing that's a yardstick that I'm measuring. I'm going to measure our security apparatus. I have a 17-year-old son who he works at a movie theater, and he makes about $150 $130 something every Friday. If you calculate everything, that's about $500 a month that he's making. My son should not be making more money than a police officer, a nurse, or a teacher in Liberia. So my goal is to increase police, nurses, and teacher salary in this country. That's the number one key, and make sure that they are paid on time. But I know everybody will say to increase police salary and all that stuff and things like that. Everybody will say it. That's a gimmick. All politician will say it. But now the key is how we can do it. And then how we can do it is that we as Liberians, our politicians do not say this. In Liberia, Liberians do not pay taxes. We do not pay enough taxes. That's something that we as a nation have to do. Paying taxes is patriotic. Taxes is what will build our country, what will pay our police officer, our firefighter, our teachers, build our roads, build our schools, build our hospitals, our clinics. But we are not doing that. We have police officers that can write tickets that would help bring money into the city, but they don't write tickets because they are taking a little handout. here and there. We also have the police force that still have the rebel mind mentality or still thinking. If you drive around the country, you see a bunch of rope made up makeshift checkpoints with ropes. That's the rebel mindset of thinking. We have police chiefs who have not outlawed these things, that police officers are still setting checkpoints on roads, are setting places. That's what I went to as a young man, going to checkpoints that was made of rope. Back then, it was people intestines. Now it's just playing ropes now. Our people are still have the Stockholm syndrome, still thinking like rebels. We have to change that. Those are some of the stuff. We also have to improve our electricity grid in the country, because where there's light, it's hard for criminals to want to go and steal, to go and commit crime. That's a whole lot. But the three main things that we need to do: equip our police force, our security apparatus, pay them, and train them. Those are the three main things that we need to do.
All right. Thank you. So I see you have a discipline in international relations and diplomacy. And as we have seen, it's not unique to Liberia. As we have seen over the years, African leaders tend to rely mostly on Westerners to validate their good governance. You, as a Liberian who have traveled out of Liberia, have seen something different when it comes to, and maybe know how we as Africans leaders have been marginalized or being treated on every table that we go to. You as an African leader, what are you going to do different that will make Liberia independent, irrespective of foreign interest? Because, like, for example, America has a foreign interest. Everywhere they go, they tell you, hey, I don't have French. I have interests. My interest is what I protect. We have seen Liberians not being protected. For example, when the war took place in Ukraine, our citizens were marginalized. We saw them being brutally beaten and thrown all over the place. We saw other African nations, few African nations, when they pick up their people. Liberia is not recognized internationally. Currently, I know it's something happening in South Korea where a Liberian was accused of raping a Korean. And that issue was going on, but the State Department had no control over it. That is the Liberian State Department. You, as a Liberian president, what are you going to do different to make sure that Liberians are protected and recognized as we were in the 1900s?
Thank you for that question. I will say something here that I think is controversial, that our old people would not, most old people, I would not say it. My favorite president of all time, I admire, and I hope to do some of the stuff that he tried to do, is President Willem Albert Tauber. I believe that if President Tauber had lived to carry on the things that he wanted to do, Liberia would be far ahead than most African countries. But he was brutally murdered because of tribalism. So, when it comes to our restore the dignity that Liberia lost since 1980, when I sit across from a foreign leader of any country, United States of America, any country, they will know, I know what they know, and I understand what they understand. I believe that we as Liberians, we have to stop going to people to get foreign aid. Yes, I know with me winning, I will have to go to foreign aid. But we have to change certain things. One of the things that I say I want to change. Under my administration, we are going to become manufacturing juggernauts. Under my administration, Firestone is going to be given I don't want to say ultimatum, but a chance to reset their relationship with Liberia. Firestone is either going to build a tire plant in Liberia or they should leave Liberia. The Accelerator deal that is currently on the table, I hope they don't pass it and wait for the next president to pass it. And if and when I'm the next president, Accelerator will build a steel plant in Liberia or they will have to leave Liberia. They're not going to leave. That's to the people of Liberia. Firestone and Accelerator is not just going to get up and just leave like that. It's going to be an orderly transition. There are other countries in the world, other companies in the world that wants to make money that they can come and do the job Firestone and Accelerator are doing. They are not the only one. So we are going to do, as a president, I will always do what is in the best interest of Liberia. It will not be in the best interest of Mengistu Wolokolie, but the best interest of Liberia. I may make mistakes. But I am man enough to know that when I make my mistakes, I can redirect it and refocus, and carry on to go to where the next place that it needs to be. But I would say that Liberia will be respected under my administration. We will rise again under my administration. Under me being elected will win the soul of Liberia to make sure Liberia is the beacon of hope, the shining house on the hill in Africa once again.
Thank you. So another thing that comes to mind is corruption, and I think you alluded to it earlier when it comes to bribery, right? Mm-hmm. And corruption in Africa, and I'm reading a book, and I'm going through this book, and I'm reading about how the corruption that Africans leaders are doing in Africa is less than 10% of what one Western country is robbing out of Africa. Okay, so there's this book that I'm reading. It's called Africa 101, and the author states that all African leaders put together, based on the studies that that was conducted here from the United States by a New York Times or one of these renowned publications, that all African leaders put together are stealing $50 billion from Africa as a whole. However, France alone, from the Francophone countries, are stealing about $500 billion from Africa. But if you look at the Western media and almost even our own media, it is the African leaders that are publicized for this corruption. Mm-hmm. When it comes to addressing corruption, and you talk about Firestone, because it's the same thing with Firestone in Liberia. Firestone contract was signed in 1929. It was redone by Judy Bryan when he was interim president.
It wasn't. No. It was signed by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf under the tutelage of Tawon Gonglo.
So, it could be. Maybe she finalized it, but I know Judy Bryan.
No. I'm saying, no. It was signed by Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Joseph Boyka and Tawon Gonglo.
Okay, we can agree to disagree. However, whatever the case is, it came from 25 cents per acre to now 50 cents per acre, right? And you're talking about giving ultimatum to Firestone. How can you? Because I was trying to go to Judy Bryan, trying to put interim leadership. It was not elected, but since he said Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, then it just strong. It made my case much stronger. How are you going to give an ultimatum to Firestone for the contract that was signed by the elected government to abide by yours? Because these are concession agreements. It becomes a law. It has to go back to the legislature before it can be scratched or whatever. So what kind of ultimatum? How is your ultimatum going to be enforced?
Okay, simple. And let me say this. The Firestone contract was signed by the Ellen and Boyka administration under the tutelage of Councillor Tawon Gonglo, who signed a disaster Firestone deal that destroyed our future. Did not look at the future of the people of Liberia. That's one. Two, no president or no candidate running in this race are going to challenge Firestone as I am challenging Firestone. So to the people of Liberia, if you want Firestone to bring tire plants in Liberia, you will elect Mengistu Wolokolie. If you think that Firestone will not bring tire plant into Liberia under Vice President Boyka, President George Weah, Mr. Alexander Cummings, or Councilor Tawun Gongo, because they all have cartel to Firestone. And also, your legislators, your representatives, and your senators are the ones that you have to ask them to make a pledge that they will push Firestone outside of this, to make Firestone build a tire plant and Meta Steel build a steel plant in Liberia. That's the only way we can get this.
Okay. So corruption, still on corruption. Corruption is a big thing.
Okay, yeah. So still on corruption. So as I have been saying for a year, there are steps that we are going to take.
Yes.
Under my administration, no family member of mine will hold a Senate confirmed position. I will not appoint any family member to hold a Senate confirmed position. That's one. Two, I will not own or operate any businesses in and out of Liberia. Three, any stocks or anything I have, I will place it in a blind trust so I don't have nothing to do with it. In a year to 2 years, we are going to digitize the Liberian government, where everything that when you have to pay for anything at any government agency, you are going to have to pay electronically. That is the key. I believe that's the step. It will not solve all the problems. People will still find ways, but at least we'll be able to trace people who stealing money and who doing the corrupt stuff. And if anybody is found or is accused or investigated and they are found guilty of corruption, regardless if you're a family member or not, you will be punished to the full extent of the law under my administration.
Thank you, Mr. Wolokolie. With that, I would like for Mr. Wolokolie to go and take a quick break. At least let him have some water to drink and rest a little bit, re-energize, and come back. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Please share the show on Facebook, YouTube. You can watch us on YouTube also and Instagram. Mr. Wolokolie, as we take a break, and we'll be right back.
Yes, sir. Thank
Again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are back on set. So, Mr. Wolokolie, thank you for those brilliant responses. I have another question when it comes to Liberian independence. And this is just me, I always tell my friends that Liberia is not independent. That's just my opinion. Because my reason for saying this is simple. If I'm a son of my father, I leave my father's house and say, hey, Dad, I'm going on. I'm a man now. I'm going to have my family. And then when I go out, get married, got kids, but every day I come back, say, Dad, my children need to eat. I need to pay my rent. I need to pay bills. Everything I'm getting from my dad. I feel that Liberia, I'm not independent. That's how I look at it. And one of the means to which I think one of the criteria that one must meet to show independence is feeding themselves. If we look at our landscape, in fact, our weather, our youthful population, we have everything. We have very youthful population. We already know the agriculture. We already know agriculture. The basic, at least we know the fundamental of agriculture. We can advance it. So teaching us the advance shouldn't be hard. So we have a youthful population. We have very good weather. We have very good soil. But we are still buying food from Taiwan, which is an island and pieces of lands in the middle of the water. You, as the head of the nation, Liberia, what are you going to do to make Liberia self-sufficient when it comes to feeding herself? What are you going to do different?
Thank you for that. under my administration, my goal is that in 10 years, Liberia should be able to feed themselves. We should be able to feed ourselves. The first step that we are going to take under my administration is that we're going to pass 2 executive orders. First executive order, any Liberian, under my administration, any Liberian shipping products into Liberia, air, land, or sea, custom tariffs free. You have to pay fees. If you are non-Liberian, we'll reduce the custom tariffs from 25% to between 4 to 7%, depending on the product that you are bringing in. Second executive order, we are going to every and all agricultural equipment will be custom tariffs free regardless of your citizenship. We are going under that. We are going to subsidize the government of Liberia. Going to subsidize certain crops. I can't tell you right now which one it is. It could be rice, it could be potatoes, it could be arrows, it could be cassava, potato grain, whatever the case may be. Whatever is beneficial, I feel that's in the best interest of our country. That's what we will do. In 90 days to 100 days, I'm going to send a legislation to our legislators, to the Congress. It will be called the Consumer Tax Reduction Act. In this law that we're going to pass, we're going to reduce taxes for individuals to 8%, for local businesses between 10 to 14%, for international business between 15 to 20%. We'll also pass a law, make sure that each individual are getting paid hourly and not monthly. Hourly wages for active. I'm losing I got a little brain fire right now. For people who are qualified for the job, the skilled workers will be between $7 to $9. For unskilled workers will be between 2.5 to $5 $6 would be for unskilled workers. We'll also have a thing where for every product that is bought, and whenever a consumer buys something, you will pay 3 kind of taxes on it. You will pay Liberian national tax, the county tax that you are buying the product, and the city tax that you are buying the product. Those are the things that we will do that will help us pay taxes and stop depending on things. Hopefully, and also within 10 years, I want us to reduce the amount of our natural resources, our raw material that we are shipping, we are exporting out of the country.
That's a good plan. Thank you. So you talk about payment of salary, or I don't know, I may want to call it fair labor practice. But when I hear about fair labor practice, one thing that comes to mind is liberalization policy. That I know I started hearing more about this during the Charles Taylor regime. Liberalization policy, where Liberians are supposed to have the right to do certain business, no foreigner or no non-Liberian have access to those businesses. However, today in Liberia, everything that has been done, like the Lebanese guy will go to Lebanon and bring a guy from Lebanon. We don't know his education or his qualification, but he comes, he's working in a store as the manager, making $1,000 US. But a Liberian who has a bachelor degree in business administration may be working as a store boy and making like $150. How will you put liberalization policy that will have impact on the Liberian citizen to enable them contribute to the tax you just talked about? Because in order for citizens to pay tax, they should have some income they may be generating some income to pay those consumer tax and things you're talking about. So how are you going to put liberalization policy?
I do not have a liberalization policy. That's not a policy I have. I have a 21st open door policy, a 21st century open door policy. That's what I have. This campaign, I went to go get my business license and my article of incorporation. It took me about 4 months to get my article of incorporation and I pay $150 or so for it. A foreigner wants to get a license, international business come in, they have to pay almost $1,000, which I think is ridiculous. That should not happen. I think it needs to be lower than that. All right. So on our policy, we are. Let me say this: the job of the government of Liberia, it is not to give job to her people, to find job for her people. That is not the job of the government of Liberia. The job of the government of Liberia is to provide an environment so that her citizens are able to create and find jobs. That's how we pay our taxes. So that's the reason why I'm going to get government out of the way. Our government cannot be a referee, it cannot be a player in the economy. There must be a referee. If the government is a player in the economy and the government is competing with the citizen in the private sector, the government is always going to win. But if the government is the referee, then there's a dispute between you and myself. So we have to get the government out of the way. I want to make sure we have a small government, but efficient government. We cannot, most of the people who are running right now, their policy is of the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Forget that whole liberalization thing. It's on us Liberians to make sure that we get to work. I'm asking Liberian people to pay taxes. I'm asking to pay taxes. My job as your president is to make sure that you're able to create jobs. My job as a president is to make sure that it's open. That's the reason why I'm taking the custom tariffs off of that for Liberians to be business people, bring businesses into the country. My job is to make sure to reduce the taxes so Liberians can be able to open business. We are going to establish a small business administration under my administration that will give grants and loans to businesses that is going to hire 5 people or more when they get these loans or grants. Those are the steps that we are going to take.
Okay. So, and you talk about your 21st century policy. What are your pillars?
Open door policy.
Oh, 21st century open door policy. So is it mimicking the open door policy of William V.S. Tubman?
No, I will not say mimicking. I will say that it's the Mengistu Wolokolie open door policy, 21st open door policy. That we are going to be a place that we will welcome investors into the country. I'm expecting Liberians to compete. We will make sure that Liberians have to think. You know, under the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and Joseph Boakai administration, with the labor minister, which was Tawun Gongla at the time, say that foreigners should pay certain. He increased the stuff for foreigners to pay, I think, over $1,000. That don't help. That's chump change that's coming into the government. That's chump change that's coming to government. What our policy should be that if you bring a business, a factory, a business into the country, that you must hire your staff, the local business, your business should have local of 80%. Local people should be of that business should be 80% of that. In your top management, in your tax management staff, you should have a 20% in the higher up hierarchy of your business. That's how we do it. Not saying, oh, they pay $1,000 and the Liberian pays that. That's not economic growth.
Okay. So we have some challenges. In fact, a lot of challenges in Liberia. Mm-hmm. Healthcare, education. These are major challenges that have, I can say, existed in Liberia for centuries, right? And have gotten worse over the years. Under this administration and under the previous administration, we see only people who can afford, that is mostly the higher up elites in government, can afford good health care. What approach are you going to take when it comes to providing health care in Liberia, where you, Mr. President, will be going to either JFK or whatever the reputable hospital that is in Liberia, just as you expect the guy from West Point to go to that hospital? Like, for example, in the United States, the president of the United States, you and I know, go to Walter Reed
Dr.
Hospital.
Walter Reed.
Yeah, they go to Walter Reed Hospital, and any military guy or anybody who is within that vicinity can go to that hospital. So the
Yes.
government trusts that hospital and goes there. But in Liberia, on the other hand, on the contrary, the president cannot go to JFK. What you, as a president, going to do to make sure that everybody, especially those that are using government fund, I'm not talking about private citizens, those that are using government resources to travel out of the country for medical treatment, what is your administration going to do different to ensure that everybody get that health care that is needed in Liberia?
Okay. To the people of Liberia, I believe in universal health care. I want us to implement a universal health care in Liberia that everybody going to the hospital, when you the day that you go to the hospital, be seen that you don't have to take money out of your pocket and pay to be seen. I want that when you need drugs, you don't have to go outside the hospital and look at the Lucky Pharmacy and go and buy drugs, because that's the Lucky Pharmacy by every major hospital in Liberia. And I'm sure it's ran by a doctor that is in JFK or Jackson F. Dole Hospital. So I believe in universal health care. That's a system that I plan to implement into the country. When it comes to people going out of the country to be seen, my ministers, my government officials, my administration officials will be seen at the hospital. I think that President Weah building of the 14 military hospital was far-sighted. It was a good idea, but was at the wrong time for him to do it. The money he took to build that hospital, he should have invested in JFK to improve that hospital. I get it. Our military men and women need a hospital, but you have to, as a leader, you have to take care of the citizen first, to involve the citizen before you go into the military. So my military brothers and sisters, I'm not saying that you guys are second class, but we made sacrifice. We are selfless servants. That's what we're supposed to take care of our citizen first. So my whole thing about healthcare is universal healthcare, where every citizen can go and be seen regardless of how much they make or what tribe they are from, what sex they are, or anything like that. That's all we're doing. That's some of the reason why I'm creating a 21st century open door policy economy that will make sure that we are spread, that people are able to find jobs, create jobs, and pay taxes for us to be able to do these things. We have to make sure we invest in Social Security to strengthen Social Security. Currently, there's only 22,000 people receiving Social Security benefit in Liberia. That's wrong. That should be more than that. The average person receiving between $75 to $100 a month. After you have worked for 40 years, you should be receiving more than that. You know, and we should, people, our pay structure should be, people getting paid should be better. Right now, I retired out of the United States Army as a staff sergeant in the United States Army. My retirement money, I make more money than the chief of staff of the armed forces. That should not be the case. That should not be the case. So those are the things we need. Those things that we need to do. When it comes to one of the main steps, one of the things that we can do also to help our health in this country, that the government can do within, I would say, 8 months to maybe a year, is to clean our environment. That they can clean the environment and put people to work. The government need to build a state-of-the-art landfill and recycling center, pass a law that every house, every business must subscribe to a trash collection. If that happens, we will have private people who can come and collect trash all across Liberia, and that will clean our city. In Liberia, we have 5 leading causes of death. HIV/AIDS is number 5, which is about 6%. The first 4 of our deaths in Liberia is due to malaria, typhoid, and all that stuff. It's due to the lack of clean drinking water. Under my administration, we are going to build a water distillery plant that every house in Liberia will have safe, clean, running drinking water coming in it.
Okay. Thank you. So we have and thanks audience for joining us. All those who are watching us via Facebook or YouTube and Instagram, we want to say thank you for your time. Please share the show. So we have a question from one of our audience, Dr. George Toto. His question is: are you going to audit the George Weah administration for corruption?
Under my administration, my LSCC are going to investigate corruption in before me and outside my outside and inside my administration. I'm not going to stand in the way of any investigation into corruption. That's what I can promise the people of Liberia. I'm not out for a witch hunt. If a audit is needed by my LSCC boss in any shape or form, he will have the authority and the free will to investigate.
Okay, so that's a yes. Now we have a situation in Liberia when it comes to accountability. And one of the talking points has always been centered around holding people accountable for their actions. With that being said, I'm one of those who have promoted war and economic crime code in Liberia. What is your stand? Because it's still a question that's being asked to all of the current.
Yes, and I would say this: if the people of Liberia elects me as president 2024, and they bring back the same Congress that is currently there right now, we will not have a war economic crimes code established. I will sign a bill if a bill is brought to my desk to establish a war economic crimes code. I will sign it. But the people of Liberia, the only reason why we do not have a war economic crime code bill is because the people of Liberia do not want it. Because if they wanted it, they will not elect the people who are in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Because these are the people, if the court was held right now, these people would be under the jail. These guys are not going to pass a law that is going to send them to jail or take money away from them. So you have to elect people that will pass these laws. So to the people of Liberia, under my administration, if a war economic crime code bill comes to my desk, I will sign it. I will not unilaterally pass a law saying for the war economic crimes codes to happen, because we are a democratic nation. We are a nation of laws. I'm not a dictator and never will be a dictator.
Okay, so there's a question from one Galakbai. Looking at our population currently, and the last time when I from my own stand, looking at our population, and you in Liberia, I know you can speak to this. If you drove from Monrovia, I drove from Monrovia to Ganta, and in my opinion, in my own survey, I saw at least, and I would say about 70% of those that drive the keke or the motorbike are youthful population. So the question from one of our brothers here, Mr. Galakbai, is, in fact, I got two questions. Maybe I can put it all together. But I think both are the same. How are you going to involve the youth into agriculture?
Okay, so I am going I'm going to have an amnesty for I know you know the saying they have it, the Zoko boys and girls, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna have an amnesty for them. Amnesty meaning we are going to the farms that we are going to subsidize. We are going to build a rehabilitation center today. We are going to give the Zoko boys and girls, I hate saying those words, amnesty, disadvantage.
Disadvantage is preferable for me.
Yes, disadvantage. I'm going to give them amnesty thing for them to get to the farm to go and work there. That's the thing. And for them, as they're working, they will be getting help at the rehabilitation center to win themselves off of drugs. If they do not take that chance to go up there to do it, if you are arrested, you will still go over there. But this time, you are going there to be a prisoner. You will not get paid if you have went there on your own. One of the things that we have to our disadvantaged youth and in our population that I think we have to do is our education system. So under my administration, we're going to pass a law that every child must start school at 3 years old. We are going to have kindergarten to 12th grade public school free access. We are going from 9th grade to 12th grade. We are going to put trade school, tech schools, vocational school in there. So when you graduate with a high school diploma or high school degree, you have some kind of certificate for some kind of trade that you did from 9th grade to 12th grade. 2025, anybody who's 18 years of age in 10th grade and below will be removed from the system, from the school system. Yeah. We'll create something called a GED program, where you go to school for 18 months, and then you will take a test, a certificate. You get a certificate. When you pass, it will be equivalent to a high school diploma or a high school certificate, however way you want to slice it. If you decide you don't want to do it, the government will pay for up to 3 years of vocational school. So that means that we got a lot of vocational schools in Liberia. That's where these students will be going. The government will be paying these schools to teach these students about vocational school, about the vocational stuff. So we'll be investing also in schools for our young men then to go to schools.
Again, thank you again, Mr. Wolokolie. We have spent almost an hour and got few questions coming here, and I want to see if you can give us 10 more minutes of your time so that we can, before we wrap this up, because we have
I can give you much time as you need.
Okay, that will also rely on our technical man in the back. But for me, I got the time. But yeah, but there's a question that's coming here from one of our brothers, Rivers Pro. His question is, how will you tackle overcrowdedness in Monrovia? Do you have a relocation plan?
Yes. One of the thanks for the question for the brother. One of our plans, that's some of the reason why I am advocating for manufacturing to come into the country, because we need to push people back into the county. I believe we have to develop the counties before we can start worrying about Monrovia. So if we get manufacturing plants, tire plants, whatever plants and stuff for factory into the county, people will go up there and go and look for jobs. So that is the plan, is to bring those factories and plants into the country so people can go there to go for jobs. We are going to make sure we build affordable houses for people in order to make sure that people are able to relocate.
Okay. So you talk about early childhood education, and you said every child. Does that mean it's going to be mandatory? And if it is mandatory, who's going to afford them? Who's going to pay? Who's going to pay for education?
Mandatory for what?
Education. You say every child will have to go to school at the age of 3.
Yes, every child will start school at 3 years old.
So who's going to pay for it?
We as a nation will pay for it. We as a nation will pay for it because to our taxes. To our taxes. That's how it will be paid for. We cannot sit back and say that if we want a good school, if we want schools, that we're not going to pay for it. We can't run. America is not going to come and build school for us. They may come and say 1 or 2, and that's it. They're not going to build schools all through Liberia for us. Europe is not going to build school for us. Europe is not going to educate us. China is not going to educate our children. America is not going to educate our children. We as Liberians, we must educate our children. So we have to pay for it. The school is not going to build by itself.
Thank you, sir. So as we wrap up, yes, I have one more question before we can close this out. But let us give our audience a chance to call in if we have a call. So, audience, you are free to call us on 682-503-9906 to participate. And this is a WhatsApp. That means outside Liberia, outside the US can also call. The number again is 682-503-9906. Please call to participate and ask the future presidential candidate for your country, for the Republic of Liberia. Call him and ask him the tough questions that you think is necessary and that you need to hear from him. Maybe his question could be something that another political aspirant could hear and try to address. It could be something that would be beneficial to you or your brothers and sisters in Liberia. So, Mr. Wolokolie, we have come a long way. And thank you for your time, because it's been an hour now since we got on here. You, as a military personnel, and I know and you know what
retired
military personnel, retired military personnel know the benefit that we get from the United States. What mechanism are you going to put in place to encourage our military forces, our paramilitary forces in Liberia, so that they are not compromised when it comes to infiltration of either our national security or our defense, because the military defends our border, right? What mechanism are you going to put in place that will not have the police, like yesterday I listened to, and this was coming from the Inspector General of the Liberian National Police, stating that he pays the police $130, and under the $130, some of them are, when you see them with uniform, they are using their personal money to buy those uniforms. What mechanism are you going to put in place that after active duty, these people and their children are going to be careful?
Okay, so I don't like the thing about paramilitary. That's the militant, a rebel way of thinking. Former military, not paramilitary. So when it comes to us, one of the things I'm going to introduce into our thing that I'm going to introduce and have to get the Congress to buy into it is for us to pass a defense budget every year. That would be the first step, to pass a defense budget every year that would be comprised of military pay, that military every year our military should get a pay raise in accordance to inflation and the qualification of stuff like that, what we had in the U.S. military. Well, I want us to have the build incentives to invite more young people into our military. I hope we can recruit more young men and women to join our military. When it comes to retirement, I want to improve our social security for our military. I want to improve make sure that our VA, we currently have VA in Liberia, and to strengthen our VA veteran affairs in Liberia, invest in it, making sure that our Congress putting money to these things. But to the people of Liberia, for us to do all these things, we need money. Meaning that we need to pay our taxes. Meaning that as a government, as an administration, we must create the environment for Liberians to create and find jobs. We must invest heavily in our education. We must invest in our social network. So those are the things that we will need to do.
Thank you. So just to point out, in Liberia, or if in fact in the security system in Liberia, when we refer to paramilitary, it's just the inclusion of all military personnel. It's not, after. So paramilitary.
I know, but yes, our mindset have to change, because you got people who you know what I'm talking about. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? I just want to be military. You were ex-military. Just leave it as it. Former military. We are soldiers. You are Marine and stuff. We don't call each other paramilitary. We say retire.
Yeah. So anyway, as we about to leave, Mr. Wolokolie, I think we have spent a lot of time here. I think you have given us a lot of information. I mean, you have told us how you are planning on creating well-paid jobs, or build a 21st century open door policy, women's rights, and everything. And these are things that you can find on your website at. Steve, can you please put that website out?
Our website is at www.aspirant,
All right.
MengistuWolokolie.com.
Yes. So, somebody's bringing a dual currency, dual citizenship has been passed in Liberia, right?
Yes.
And I must admit, I was one of those people who fought for that a while back. We're running the campaign on Facebook Live and stuff like that. What is your stand on that dual citizenship, and what do you think Liberians can? How do you think Liberia can benefit from it without compromising when it comes to corruption? Because the Liberians in Liberia, one of their fear where Liberians in America or in the diaspora come to the country to steal, and when they get out of the country, there is no accountability, no one to hold them responsible.
I'm glad you asked that question. I'm glad you asked that question. So I want you guys, Liberians listening, I want you to listen to this right here, please. There's a law on the books in the United States of America that if you are an American citizen, you cannot go to another country and commit corruption or commit crime, and you think you will run to America and you will not be persecuted. They will persecute you. So, to the people who say that, oh, they stole money and they're running away, it's because the president who were there did not want that person to be persecuted. It's the reason why, because they were part of it. Because all the government of Liberia have to do is to file charges saying that person was corrupt, and that person will be held responsible for the crime and have an investigation, and that person will be held responsible. If you look at, we have two people so far. I don't want to talk about people in a sense. When the person is down. If you look at the late Donna Cassell, where they took his ID, his passport, and all that stuff, for him not to come out, because if he had came to Liberia for what he did, he would not have been persecuted. And you look at a young man right now, not young man, but he's older than me, who is going through the problem that he's going through right now in New Jersey. That's some of it right there. So when Liberians say, oh, they're going to steal our money and run to America, they're not being persecuted because the Liberian government has not told the American government that this person committed a crime over here, and we need you to persecute them. Liberia have extradited treaty with America. The government of Liberia can request them. Or they can send an investigation over to the American government at the U.S. Embassy, and the DOJ will persecute them. So don't be scared of Liberians who have American citizen, UK citizen, and stuff. In our country, who we should be afraid of corruption is the people from Russia, China, Lebanon, Dubai. Those people do not have strong anti-corruption laws. So the citizen can come and do things and go, and they will not be punished. So that's why our Liberians need to know that those things, you thinking that the Liberians that are coming from America, from the UK, from Germany and stuff, those people will not be punished. No, they will be punished. The Liberian government is the one not requesting them to be punished. So if they request it, it will happen. And there's laws on the books in America and most of the developed nations to punish their citizen for corruption. So that's how you stop it.
Thank you so much, sir. So as we leave, any last words, sir?
Yes. Thank you to the Liberian Shawise team. Thank you for giving me the platform to speak to you and to speak to the people of Liberia in and out of Liberia. I really appreciate it. To the young people of Liberia, age 42 to 18 years old, 18 to 42 years old, this election is on our shoulders. It's on us to make sure we bring the change that will make our children and grandchildren life better than ours. The full leading contender in the race right now, President George Weah, Mr. Ezana Cummings, former Vice President Joseph Barker, and Councilor Tawon Gonglo. Those guys have failed Liberia. They will fail Liberia again if we gave them the mentor to take Liberia. They have no vision for the country. They have no vision. They are living in the 19th century. They are still fighting the wars of the 80s and of the 70s. We have to move Liberia into the 21st century. Look, I'm asking you to look, when you look at me, is to see your children's future in me. That's what I'm asking you when you see me, is to see your children's future in me, not your future. I can't do nothing for your future. What I can do, what we can do, is to make sure that the children of Liberia, the young children of Liberia, have a better life than you and myself. That's what I can promise you. I will work hard for you, for your children. And I expect you to work with me for us to make sure that Liberia is better than we all left it and how it was given to us. But I can't do this all by myself. This campaign needs help. We need help. We need money. So I'm pleading with you. I'm asking with you, $5, $10, $1, $20, $30, $40, whatever you can afford. Please go to www.mengistuwolokolie.com and donate. If you have Cash App, you can also donate a WFP 2023, Wolokolie for President 2023. Please, we need help. We have taken this campaign as far as we can financially. Now we need the help of the Liberians, of everyday Liberians, in and out of Liberia, in the UK, anywhere around the globe. In Liberia, we need help. So thank you. God bless you, and God bless Liberia, and God bless Africa.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wolokolie. That was the voice of Mr. Mengistu E. Wolokolie, independent candidate aspiring for 2023 election. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this day. It has been a wonderful day. You have heard a lot, and I hope Steve can join me here so that we can dissect this. But Mr. Wolokolie, thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful and a blessed night.
You too. Thank you. You guys have a wonderful day, and greetings to your family.
Thank you, and you too. I'm bringing you on, Steve. Don't tell me you're not coming. Dr. Positive.
Yes, sir. You guys did great. What you want to come spoil us your conversation for? But again, thank you for a great hosting. I think this is what we need. My plea to other political candidates is come on, Liberia shall rise. We need you here. The Liberian people need to hear your voice. They need to hear what you have to say to them. So I want to thank Mr. Sapolucia for Politics 101. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's keep reaching out. And folks, if you know anybody, a representative, or whomever, let them know that Liberia shall rise is an open platform. We are non-partisan. So we'll ask fair questions. Same question we'll ask everybody that come on here. So please send people our way. Let's interview them for Mama Liberia, because we want everybody to have a choice. And the reason I will say this is because there are some people that are saying, I will not vote because I don't like any of the candidates that are in the top three, right? Yeah. So I'm saying, no, do not do that. Do not do that to Liberia, because you have the opportunity to make a change. If you decide not to vote, right, your visions will not come true. So find somebody, listen to all the candidates out there. I think that's why I'm still waiting for that list from the election commissioner. Let's know who all the people that are running, so we can at least have them out here. We can bring them on here so we can interview them, so that Liberian people can make a better choice this 2023, if possible.
Yes. So Liberians near and far, home and abroad, we want to say thank you for joining us today. It was a wonderful discussion. I believe the young brother have introduced himself to you. If you didn't know him before, at least you know him now. Spread the word, like Steve said. Please send people our way. We want to ask them the tough questions, the ones that you may have, and you yourself can participate in this in the discussion. And on this platform, I want to let you know that we believe that Liberia shall rise, and Liberia will rise, but it includes every one of us efforts to make sure that our country rise and go beyond where it was pre-war. Liberia, Liberians, our nation belongs to all of us. Nobody can develop Liberia except Liberians. So with that being said, we want to say thank you for joining us. Please share the videos on YouTube. You can also watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Instagram, and you can watch us on Facebook. And as you watch us on Facebook, please share the video with friends. Send people our way, and we'll be glad to host them. One thing I must tell you, we're not getting paid by anybody. Therefore, we ask independent questions objectively to everyone. We have no stake in the game. Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful and blessed weekend.